right, awesome. Sweet. Well, welcome to this fall 2023 recruitment panel. We have a couple guys on here from various chapters looking just to ask some questions and answer some questions. And so, man, before we begin and before they introduce themselves and I introduce myself, I would love for you guys to feel the permission to ask questions in this space, to uh, poll the variety of voices in this room, whatever you guys got. So one, I'm going to throw my number in the chat. If you want to text me a question, if you want to poll the various voices in this chat, in this room, shoot me that text and I will read that aloud. I'm going to kind of facilitate and ask our panel guys some questions throughout the night. But yeah, shoot me a text if you got any. But I would love to introduce myself. And then my friends Will, James, and Reese are going to introduce themselves kind of going forward. But my name is Reagan Pompeo. I work at this company called Fired Up, and we help fraternities grow. I get to travel across the country and talk to various recruitment chairs and headquarters. I was just at Acacia Leadership Academy talking to all their young rising leaders just about recruitment. I get to do that, and we get to give speeches at conferences and do recruitment trainings in a variety of ways, both digitally, provide technology, we get to do research, all that fun stuff. But there's a little bit about me. I got to graduate in the spring of 2021 from a place called Auburn War Eagle. I love that place. And now I work at this company called Fired Up. But man, I would love for James to introduce himself as we begin this panel. And then I'll go to Will and then Reese. James, are you there?
Looks like he's having trouble with his mic, maybe. I see it muting and unmuting.
While James figures that out, Will, if you want to, if you could turn your camera on, come off mute, and kind of introduce yourself, that'd be great.
All right. I don't have a camera connected to my PC because I don't own one, and I don't know where my laptop is, so you're going to have to deal with a zero camera, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But I'm William Neely. I'm from Trine. I was recruitment chair this last year, these past 2 semesters. And yeah, I guess my player bio would be like I did a lot of my recruitment stuff based off of relationships, and I was able to get 9 guys recruited in total in my time as the recruitment chair, 6 in the fall and 3 in the spring.
Awesome. And James, we got to figure it out.
If you can hear me, then yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. I don't know where you're hearing me from, whether it's from my headphones or not, but yeah.
You're coming in clear, buddy. It's all right.
Okay, we can't hear you anymore.
What about now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm having some weird stuff going on with my computer. So, all right. So, like Reagan said before, and like I tried to say earlier, I'm James Martins from the Purdue chapter, or the SEMEC chapter of Acacia. So other than that, chapter size, medium-sized chapter for Purdue's campus, about 50 to 60 guys. On campus, particularly, recruitment is not as formal as other campuses like LSU. It's more of an informal process where guys kind of just go to the chapters they think they'd have the most fun at with the rush events, and they get to pick and choose. And as far as I'm concerned, this will be my 2nd semester as rush chair. And last semester I was able to get a decent number of guys. I was able to get 10, which is pretty good for us.
Awesome. And then Reese, if you could kind of just introduce yourself, name, chapter size, just brief description of what recruitment looks like on your campus, and then just like a little description of you, how long you've been in the role, and kind of things you've seen.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Reese Murphy. I'm from the Cal chapter of Acacia. Right now we're about 30 brothers. We just had a majority of the refounding class just graduated, so we lost about like 16 brothers this last semester. We got hit kind of hard. Recruitment here is a little disconnected from the campus when it comes to recruitment. There are opportunities and there are events that the university kind of holds for recruiting, but majority of houses we kind of just tend to not participate in them. For some reason, that's kind of the culture. Um, the main form of rush here kind of boils down to social media and cold calling on especially incoming freshmen largely. Um, yeah, I've been in the role. This is my second semester now. Um, I've recruited about five brothers last semester, and I'm currently working on this upcoming one.
Amazing. Then for all of y'all, we can go in the same order, go Will, James, and Reese. What has been the biggest success that y'all have seen when it comes to recruitment?
The biggest success that I've seen is just being able to recruit a lot of just genuinely good guys. Like out of the 9 that I was able to that were inducted under my reign as recruitment chair, they were all just genuinely good guys that I enjoyed being around. So that's at least my idea of the biggest success.
James, what about you?
Like I said before, I was able to get 10 guys for in the spring, which for the Purdue chapter of Acacia is quite good. That's the highest we've gotten for a spring pledge class since the 90s. I was really happy about that, and I was really impressed with the way that the guys were able to help around me and kind of showed their initiative to get it done.
All right. Sorry, yeah. So firstly, kind of like what Will said, we got some really great guys that really fit in the chapter, and a majority of them have shown a lot of interest in participating in future executive roles or chair positions, and actively want to help the chapter grow and not just be members in it. But also, since our refounding, the position has kind of been a lot more of a lone wolf spot without a committee to like help delegate a lot of tasks to get done. So my main goal, and I've been doing a pretty good job at kind of installing a committee to help the change of leadership for future recruitment chairs, so that it's less of a out of the frying pan into the fire situation. I actually have my assistant in Rush in the car right now, Shreyas, but yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And then what has like been one thing that y'all want to improve on in your chapter? One thing that y'all can do better in recruitment as a chapter at your respective universities?
One thing that I would like to be able to do better in recruitment is having more people come to our events. Especially this last year, we noticed that a lot of the freshmen are more partiers than anything, and due to our current situation with our house, it's currently owned by the school. We aren't exactly able to throw parties. So what a lot of other fraternities on our campus do to recruit, we are unable to. So that has also led to people not showing up to our other events, our weekly events or the events that we give out food or anything. So just would like to see more people come to our events.
James?
Yeah. So I think similar to what William said, I think one thing that we could improve upon is finding different outlets to get guys to the house, because like I said, we're not one of the biggest chapters on campus, and Purdue is a big Greek life campus. And sometimes when people think of rushing, they don't always immediately turn to Acacia because it's not like a standard um, Greek letter house. So sometimes you have to find new and improved ways of getting guys to the house, which I think we could improve upon as we go along.
Yeah, I definitely share an opinion with the last two. Especially since we've been refounded in 2019. We're still one of the lower, uh, or I guess we're one of the less popular houses, so we don't get a lot of like innate freshmen coming to us, and we have to do a lot more work than some other houses do. Um, but one thing that as a chapter we could be doing a little better was, since we were refounded, growth was on everyone's mind initially. So a lot of recruitment came down to all the brothers working together. But since we got to a more comfortable number, these last couple of semesters became kind of all put on the recruitment chair to do all the work, which, it is our job, but recruitment is everyone's job, uh, especially when you want to really grow and maintain that growth. Um, and so after this last class of seniors just graduated, we've been hit pretty hard. So everyone's trying to realize that now, and we've trying to get back on our feet and working together more to work on recruitment.
Yeah, it's big time. So you guys have talked about like relationships being, primary, being huge. What are some like maybe tangible things, ways that you guys prioritize relationship building throughout the recruitment process?
I ultimately just try to be their friend first. That's what I've tried to do. It's worked out for me for the most part. But yeah, just go over, maybe not always invite them over to the house, because coming over to a house with a bunch of dudes you don't know, kind of scary sometimes. But even just going over to their dorm or whatever, showing an interest in things that they like to do. And that's usually just a pretty good stepping stone, and just kind of building that initial relationship.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's in a similar vein. Sometimes we don't take some guys to the house right away. We go out and do some meal, like take them out to a meal or something like that. Say, hey, if you've got the time, I'd love to talk to you more about Acacia and about this and that. And sometimes it's not Acacia right away. Sometimes it's just about classes in general. See if he's got any questions, because normally they're incoming freshmen, so who have questions about what they're doing. And so we kind of just build a relationship that way. And as far as actual rush events are concerned, if there's a guy who has a lot in common with a certain potential new member coming in, I say, hey, you have a lot in common with this person and this person. Uh, Let me go grab him so you guys can talk more about it, and I can be a little more accessible to other guys who need my help a little bit.
Definitely echoing the last two. Building relationships like that is definitely tends to be the main priority when it comes to recruitment. Some things I've done in the past is gone and got coffees with PNMs, or just kind of, you got to hang out outside of the fraternity element, just to actually build that initial connection, and show them more about the brotherhood rather than the fraternity initially. When it comes to like cold calling and reaching out to a lot of these incoming freshmen, especially over break, I often don't even really lead with that I'm the recruitment chair or that I'm in Acacia. I'll just lead off with, hey, I noticed you got accepted or that you're committed. You have any questions about Berkeley as a whole, or anything about housing, about class enrollment, anything like that? I'll help them out, and they ask questions, and then you build that connection. And then you're like, oh, hey, and by the way, I'm recruitment chair in Acacia. Would you have any questions about Greek life or social life on campus? And then usually that gets them a lot more interested because they know you instead of just hearing about the fraternity first.
Yeah, it's big. Starting the conversation well is so important, and starting it with something about them, learning about them, first and foremost, before you try to sell them on anything, before you try to talk about Acacia or a fraternity or anything really, you want to learn as much as you can about them, and I think that's great. Before we talk about these guys, before we meet these guys, we have to find them somewhere, right? So I'm just curious, like, where do you guys find the people that you recruit? Where are some of the pipelines, the places on campus that you guys see a lot of success bringing guys into the recruitment process?
I apologize. Could you repeat that? My internet died for a second.
You're good. Just like, where are the pipelines that you bring guys in from? Where are the places that you're meeting guys on campus to start the recruitment process to bring them in and recruit them?
On Trine campus, there is the university center. We usually do tabling for stuff outside of like the cafeteria because everyone's got to eat. So we usually end up meeting a lot of new faces there, and then also just throughout any classes or extracurricular that different brothers will do, they'll just meet a person that they enjoy, and then usually kind of just spirals from there. Just meeting them around the campus.
Yeah. So our biggest success in terms of our pipeline has been our incoming freshman scholarship, which we reach out to guys who have expressed that they have officially committed to Purdue, and we message them individually and say, "Hey, it's great that you're coming to Purdue. My fraternity offers a scholarship to incoming freshmen. Are you interested in applying?" And we have a lot of success with that because, like I said before, we're not always the first name people think of when they come to campus about Greek life. So we gotta put our names out there early, and everyone's thinking about how they're gonna pay for the expense of college. So putting our name out there by by telling people we're offering this scholarship is a great way to do it, and it's historically paid off well for us.
Yeah, similar vein to James. One of the best resources I've discovered somewhere recently is like 2027 accounts or like freshman incoming accounts, where there's a lot of people that are already willing to put themselves out there to a certain extent and have a third party kind of like post a couple pictures of them to introduce them to the whole of the campus and each other. And if they're already willing to do that, and it's kind of it's a space where people follow each other and you kind of like get your name out there. And so often I'll go through that and I'll follow almost every guy on that page I see, and then all the ones that follow me back, I'll shoot them a text like, "Hey, I'm Reese. I saw you committed to Berkeley, like I said before. Um, is there any questions you have?" That's been the number one resource I found to just get reliable responses as well. Because they really don't know anything about college most of the time, and they're really looking for that one person to reach out a hand and help. A lot of others resources I found, uh, clubs. Go to like have all your brothers that are in clubs, have them advertise it. Um, even with sorority connections, you know, they have friends, and a lot of times sorority girls, they encourage their like guy friends to join fraternities, and if they're friends with you, they tend to recommend your fraternity as well. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's big time. We talked about meeting people in class, tabling, recruitment scholarship, using social media super well, finding referrals. Everything is recruitment. Every relationship that we have on campus is recruitment and can be a place for referrals. One specifically I wanted to focus on real quick was the recruitment scholarship. And James at Purdue, they utilize the recruitment scholarship really well. So James, if you could give just like one more plug for the Acacia Recruitment Scholarship, and what that looks like. How has it been useful for you? What has like been the process that you guys take to kind of get that set up? What does that look like to implement? Just talk more about that.
Yeah, sure. So the process at first was, of course, a little new and complicated for the guys who had never done it before because we're college students. We're not used to giving out money. We're used to applying for the scholarships, not necessarily starting them. So the way we had to do it was we had to go through the school itself, and we had to be able to use the resources that the school provided. So Purdue has something called Scholarship Universe. I don't know if the other universities have something similar, but it's where they advertise uh, the scholarships for eligible incoming freshmen, sophomores, everything like that, and it's a way for incoming freshmen to be able to view it. And also, what we do is Purdue sends out a mass email to incoming freshman guys, uh, informing them of our scholarship, which gives them a heads up, and it shoots into their email, their school email, which they're checking obviously all the time as incoming freshmen because they don't want to miss important details. So they'll be able to see that email when it comes in, and they'll be able to apply. It's obviously you obviously don't get 100% success rate, but we were able to get almost 100 applicants already through our scholarship, and so far I've been doing interviews for those, and I will continue to do interviews when we get on Purdue's campus.
That's big time. I love it. Thanks, James. I'm actually going to turn to my friend Sam. Sam is the current LSU recruitment chair. And Sam, I would love for you to introduce yourself real quick, and then I'll follow it up with a question. So if you could just give your name, chapter size, what kind of recruitment that you guys have down at LSU, and then just like a little player bio of yourself.
All right. So what's up, y'all? I'm Sam. I'm from the LSU chapter of Acacia. Right now we have a little over 100 guys in the chapter, and after recruitment and pledgeship, we'll probably be around 150. For us, rush is a strict 4-day formal rush where we get about 1,000 kids come through, and we have 4 days to decide whether we give them a bid or not. A little bit about me. As a freshman, I was pledge class president. As a sophomore, I was elected tailgate chair and homecoming chair. And then now as a junior, I'm the recruitment chair.
Amazing. Sam, y'all have like a very intensive 4-day recruitment process.
Yes.
So how do you guys prioritize the relationship building process, even in that intense structure?
Yeah, well, it's kind of difficult since it is only 4 days, but I like to use the active members of my chapter and as well as my recruitment committee to really pinpoint the guys that we want to keep our eye on. So I almost have more of a director role where I'm walking around and guys are pointing out specific guys that they think would fit in Acacia. So that way I'm not wasting my time with all 1,000 kids that are coming through formal, and I can focus on the few guys that, all right, my recruitment committee pointed at this guy and another guy pointed at this guy. All right, he's got to be pretty cool. I'm going to go talk to him and try to secure the bid.
Yeah, it's big time. I love that. So something that we have seen across the board, groups that are successful tend to have a high self-accountability level throughout their brothers, throughout the chapter, meaning that most of their brothers are involved in recruitment. They want to be involved in recruitment, and that's something they strive for. So for all of you guys, Will, Sam, James, Reese, how do you guys push and keep brothers involved? How do you guys get brothers motivated, and how do you continue to have a good accountability culture within your chapter?
Well, I kind of feel like if like say you don't vote for president, you can't really complain about who the president is. So if you're not involved in rush, you can't really complain if you are in like a subpar fraternity. So if you're not involved in rush and you're not pushing to get guys that are fitting the standard of Acacia, the whole fraternity is going to fall down. So I think that's how we kind of keep an accountability where everybody in the chapter is like, okay, if we don't have a good rush, the whole fraternity is gonna go to shit, and no one's gonna no one's gonna want to be involved. So I think a lot of it is just having that active chapter and keep recruiting guys that are going to keep that standard.
Yeah, in a similar way, I just wanted to follow up with that. In a similar way, a lot of the young guys now in Acacia at Purdue are able to see what the fraternity was like a couple of years ago, which is, I don't want to speak bad about my brothers who I know and I really like, but they just didn't have the same kind of heart that and the same kind of drive to recruit guys that these new couple of pledge classes have. And I think now that they've been able to see it, and they don't want to go back to the way it was, and they don't want to kind of fall back behind all the progress we've made. So in the same kind of way Sam said, if you don't have a good recruiting class, you're just not going to be a fraternity going on down the line that you want to be in.
Exactly.
Yeah, coming back, like focusing on the kind of like accountability of it all. One thing that our exec board as a whole really aims to do is in a non we keep it professional, but we have a call out system where none of us are afraid to call out each other, and all of our execs are kind of really involved with what each the other one's doing. We all have constant updates and everything, and you know, we've all of us have had points where we've feel like have come short on a promise or we're procrastinating a little bit, and having that close knit group of like your chapter's leaders really really being active in the group chat and like, yo, how's Rush going, by the way, you know, every couple of days, it keeps you going. And especially during like chapter meetings, we have an open space where the brotherhood can ask questions and kind of like direct their critiques or their thoughts about how exec is going as a whole. And that definitely benefits Rush as a whole as well.
A lot of the accountability is just on the individual person. There is the whole, well, if you didn't vote, then you don't really get a chance to complain, but everyone votes, so that has become quite a like non-issue in the somewhat recent years. So, but a lot of it is just the self and the individual that's actually doing it. Everyone has just done their jobs in the past. Everyone's been, for the most part, coming to events, doing what needs to be done, and for the most part, it's been pretty good. So we haven't really had like a thing that has directly needed to be addressed, I guess, but I don't know how to word it. But one thing I have thought about, but was too late to implement, was like a reward system where you can talk to the treasurer, try to get like a set amount off of your dues for every person that you recruit. That was an idea that I had kind of late into my like recruitment term, I guess, but I was planning on talking to the next recruitment chair and seeing what he thought of the idea, see if we can't get that going.
Yeah, it's big, you know, incentives, you know, if we need to implement like a fine system, but also just like we need to, as leaders, need to be the chief reminding officers of a lot of the things that we want to drive culture in. And in recruitment, we just have to remind our brothers the importance of recruitment. Like Sam said, we are only as good as our recruitment is. And that is just the nature of fraternities, where there's only really a 3 to 4 to 5 year life cycle in a given member. And so there's a lot of turnover. And so our recruitment becomes exponentially more important than maybe another type of organization that exists out there, or like a company for that example. So recruitment is crucial. We must remind our brothers why we do recruitment. We have to remind our brothers the reason and just constantly be in front of them with that mission. So those were great answers. You know, thinking back to, you know, pipelines, finding brothers, you know, Acacia has been one where we have a variety of brothers in our chapters with a variety of interests, variety of personality types. So how do you guys recruit variety? How do you guys recruit a variety of different people from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. What are the things that you guys use that maybe are good for consistent recruitment? And how do you guys pursue the individual in their own recruitment process?
I mean, we have kind of a formal rush, so we don't really decide on diversity. It's just how strong the formal rush group is that year. If there's a lot of guys from different, like out of state and like guys from different backgrounds, we can look out for those guys. But other than that, it's kind of tough to specifically recruit guys that are like diverse in some way. I'm not really sure if I'm the best one to answer this question.
No, I think that's great. But maybe Sam, like, how do you like guys that come through the door? Like, how do you make sure that you're like connecting with a variety of people, even if you don't like bring them there yourself because of the formal rush process? But
Mhm.
like maybe connect with those guys.
Yeah, we have guys that I trust that'll go out and they can connect with them, and if they like him, they can bring him to me, and then I can give the like the go ahead, a yes or no, like do we like the kid, do we not like the kid? Um, I think it's really having the actives that use it almost as feelers to go feel out these guys. And all right, this guy's from like Colombia or something, but he still's a cool guy. So come talk to him, and then I'll talk to him. And if he's a cool guy, then uh, that's I'm not really sure.
Yeah. So the way that uh, we're able to get a diverse group of guys who have a bunch of different uh, interests and stuff like that, and are just frankly such different people and can be such polar opposites, is there's so many guys in the house who take part in a whole bunch of different activities, have a whole bunch of different interests, and normally they tend to recruit their friends who share those interests, where they've met them in either clubs, activities outside of classes, stuff they do around campus. So it kind of just helps us create a more diverse and uh, just a more diverse group of guys around the house, because they're already friends of brothers, so they're joining in with similar interests, and since all the other brothers already have such different interests, we'll create a bigger, I suppose, melting pot of ideas in a type of way.
Yeah, trying to get like the P and Ms to talk to as many guys from as many different backgrounds as possible as well. Like in your chapter who is from where, who does what. So make sure the P&Ms are seeing all sides of Acacia and not just like, all right, the one or two guys. Make sure they're talking to everybody and trying to match their what they like up with like, all right, this guy likes video games. All right, we got a guy that likes video games. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of like um, spread out among like the active members.
Yeah, so coming from like Berkeley in particular, it's already a very diverse campus off the rip. So having that as a base for the house itself, kind of like what Sam said, having a lot of brothers from other backgrounds, kind of like bring their friends, and what James also said, like kind of having that base where the house is already very diverse. It welcomes that growing in diversity and a lot of different types of people. Especially even like yeah, even from all different walks of life. We have a lot of brothers from different areas around the world, different cities, different everything. And if the focus was to grow more in a diverse or a variety of people, the number one strategy would be rather than just working with other Greek houses like fraternities and sororities, working with clubs and really building your community relations rather than just Greek relations really helps get your fraternity out there and interact with a lot more types of people.
One thing that we do a lot to meet just a lot of people in general is that tabling in the UC, because since we're right outside the CAF, we meet all, like, basically everyone on campus. There's all different types of people that'll come by, and since we're already out there, we can just strike up a conversation with them, and usually it leads to one thing to another. I will say our fraternity is mostly introverts, which kind of leads to some difficulties with some brothers not really being able to go out and talk to people, which is fine. We always encourage them to better themselves one way or another. So but that just going out and just kind of talking to people, just doesn't matter who, at least initially, that usually leads to a pretty wide range of characters, just really in personality and just honestly everything. We have a pretty diverse group at Trine, at the very least. Say that much.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm curious, how do you guys ensure quality in your potential new member classes? What is the filter that you guys are using to determine who gets in and who gets a bid and who doesn't? How are you guys ensuring quality in your recruitment processes?
I think it comes down to like, does the kid fit? Does this P&M fit with the group of guys that we have? I think during pledgeship is when they really like find out like how much they fit. But at least for me, I have a very short recruitment process. So I kind of have to cash in on anybody that, all right, this guy seems like he's going to fit pretty well. A lot of people have said good things about him. I'm going to give him a bid. So we don't have a very long process on like offering somebody a bid because it's very cramped into one space. But yeah, we try to just whoever's going to fit with a group of guys. That's how we really ensure the quality. And then through pledgeship, that's when they're really like put to the test on if they're actually fit to be in Acacia.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, and I tend to utilize my rush committee a lot. I tend to utilize those guys who kind of tell me, and then we do kind of sort of. It's not it's not like a real set out and go through a vote. It's more like, what do we think of this guy? Do we like him? Do we not like him? And it's more of like, they let me know after each rush event or after each interaction what they kind of talked about, how it went. They add a whole bunch of comments on chapter builder in particular, so I can see those later if I don't get the chance to talk to them after. But yeah, and then like Sam said, it's all about, do they fit or not? Like, obviously you're not going to get everything based off of the initial recruitment standpoint, because of course some guys are nervous, some guys don't know what they're going to expect. But if you can get a general idea, like they talk to the brothers well, they talk to the different guys well, they kind of seem to loosen up as they got there, and then you can go from there. So just rely on your resources around you.
One thing,
Yeah. Is that a question for me in particular?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I popped my hand up. Sorry to jump in there, Reese. My name is Michael Pasco. I'm one of your international volunteers. Reagan and Kojo. Thanks for letting me hop on, guys. I want to, if I may, peel back a couple more layers on that question of cultural fit, because obviously it's important. And Sam, I hear you guys are leaning into that, and James, you too. Is that not arbitrary though? Like, what about Acacia's values and say, he's a cultural fit, but you know, his academics weren't up to a certain degree that we like to hold ourselves to as a chapter. Like, how do you deal with those maybe differences in opinion? Like, oh, he fits, he does, and he's a cool guy. Like, are you also introducing, or how are you introducing these other facets that are important to membership?
Sure. That's a great question, and that's kind of a given that we use at our chapter, and that's something we've actually had to deal with before. Good cultural fit, but academics were not where we wanted them to be. And of course, you're going to have a split chapter, which is something you have to take into account. You have to kind of be able to weigh both of those options. But at the end of the day, you want the values to reflect the values of Acacia, and you have to go there. You have to address it from there. So what we do at Purdue is it's down to my best judgment, and it's down to kind of what I think, me and my co-rush chair and my rush committee. And then in those instances, we do take a formal vote and a formal we make a formal decision amongst those set group of guys that I've laid out.
Yeah, we do kind of a similar thing. If there's like a big discrepancy in the chapter, we would put it up to a chapter vote. But ultimately, I would have the decision to make. With grades wise, I think GPA can be raised with the help of fraternity brothers. So if it's not like really, really bad, I think there's definitely room for improvement for anybody. Um, so like even if it's like not at the level that we wanted to be at in high school, I think with the help of the chapter, they can get good grades, and then that will fit what we want as a fraternity. But there is definitely some situations where it's really like the grades are really bad, and then that's when you have to make an ultimate decision.
I will say we don't really look to see if they are like a cultural fit like within Acacia. A lot of it is we just look at it like what are the qualities of the individual? Like what have we seen do they shine at? What are their interests? Like who is this person, as a person? And way that we do it, we usually will initially I'll give out like a list of names, and then we'll talk about that individual at the time. And if something comes up that a brother isn't super comfortable with, like let's say one of the PNMs, he had a bit of controversy with him or something, and then not everybody knew except for like maybe one or two brothers. That's usually all right, we'll put this guy on the back burner, we'll see what happens. Go talk to him about this very specific thing, see, hey, we have taken an interest in you, but like we had also heard about this and this, just talk to the guy about it. And then if it's actually something like serious, it's ultimately just a no. But when it comes to like mixed decisions, for the most part it's just general consent. But like there's been a few people where we've had like some like genuine discussion about, and a lot of the times the people who vouch for the individual, the PNM, the potential rush, they usually end up having a lot more good to say about the individual than what some people would say, and it usually changes a lot of people's mind. But we just have a general conversation about each individual before giving them a bid, just trying to make sure that they're actually decent, they're actually quality people.
So when it comes to the quantity over quality aspect, since our refounding in 2019, due to some of the reasons why we were shut down previously, the quantity over quality spiel has been very much preached to us, and it is one of our core values, especially at our chapter. Um, and so one thing that it's very heavily ingrained in our rush process. And so when it comes to rush week, we'll start off with one or two events in the beginning that are more like kind of showing off, like, hey, we're here, come check us out. but then a majority of the week kind of boils down to a lot more situate like events that allow for more personal interactions with the PNMs and like having a lot more conversations to flow and meet each other rather than just having cool like party scenes or anything like that. It's a lot more conversational based. And then not after every event, but after I think 2 or 3 times throughout the week, we'll sit down and we'll have every available brother in the chapter come to the main floor. We'll pull out a whiteboard and we'll write down every PNM that came to the last 1 or 2 rush events, and we'll go down each name. And like even if it goes to like 1 a.m., we'll go down each name. Be like, all right, who hung out with this guy? What'd you think of him? Who hung out with this guy? What'd you think of him? And we'll kind of we'll use that. And one real amazing tool we've been using is like the grading tool in Chapter Builder that really helps keep track of where we see PNMs on that kind of scale of where we're looking for social brothers, we're looking for uh not just social, but like are they kind of like a person from what we can tell and all that. And having those conversations after most of the rush events really helps get that quantity over quality aspect in check. And yeah, and then when it comes to actually giving a bid itself, uh, we have like a longer form where we kind of write every PNM name down during a chapter meeting, and we basically vote on every single one. And there have been times where there have been controversial ones, but it does come down to my decision. But usually, I'll stick with the 3/4 majority rule when it comes to giving a bid out.
Awesome. I'm going to give the panel a break with this question and kind of just poll the audience. I'm going to speak from my experience with this question, and then you guys can feel free to add anything if you have any advice. But this is a question of how do you guys find success recruiting without a house, without the facility? What does recruiting without a house look like, and how do you guys find success? So I'm going to talk about my own experience, and then if anyone wants to chime in, that is more than welcome. But for me, I went to Auburn and pledged in the fall of 2017 to a fraternity called Beta Upsilon Chi, and we did not have a house. We existed on this big campus with no house. There's 24 dudes at the time, and it was abnormal for the campus, but really, we made it work, and kind of a couple like tangible easy things of just like a consistent time and place is really helpful. Just if we don't have a house, like pick a place where we're going to have, whether that's a place that brothers consistently live, whether that's partnering with another organization that does have a facility on campus. Like for us, there was a house that a couple brothers lived at, and we recruited there. We had all our recruitment events there. It was consistent, was easy, time was consistent. A lot of times we would partner with what was called the Auburn Christian Student Center, which was just a place that had a facility, a big open room, and they let us use their room a lot. And so we would partner with them and use that. But also, I think kind of a couple of things, like one, we just got to meet guys even more so with the lifelong brotherhood that we often talk about. We have to meet guys with willingness to pick them up, willingness to give them rides, constantly being hospitable to them. Those are the things that we need to do without question, and constantly be asking, hey, do you need a ride to this? I know maybe this isn't on campus. This isn't near campus. It's not walking distance. We would love to give you a ride. Talking about that. And then also the potential member doesn't know, the potential member that we're trying to recruit usually doesn't know the difference. They may not know that a fraternity can exist without a house. That might be new to them. But once they start talking to you and start hearing from you, their experience will all be the same. They're still joining people. And that's where people join people kind of comes into play. They're still just going to join the group of guys that is provided to them, regardless of house or no house. And so we have to lead with ourselves. We have to lead with people. We don't have to justify that we don't have a house. We don't have to justify that we don't have a facility in the midst of other facilities. We don't have to play that game. We don't have to play the comparison game. Just recruit with the group that you got. And we doubled in size. And, senior year, we were actually able to move into a facility at Auburn, which was awesome. And we loved that. But truthfully, we didn't see some magical overnight shift into better recruitment. There was other things that we saw that helped our recruitment. There was other things that probably made it better. There are some things just logistically that obviously helped with recruitment. It was always going to be at the house. Sure, that's easy. But in terms of going out and doing the work, there was still a lot of growing pains, and it didn't fix our problems overnight. And so, yes, housing makes it easier, but it doesn't fix the problem. At the end of the day, people join people, and that is going to be the bread and butter of recruitment, really for any group, but especially groups without a house. People join the group, absolutely. And my friend Christian has his hand raised. He's going to speak more on this topic.
Yeah, hey guys. So Christian Tolley, LSU chapter expansion coordinator on staff now. So with expansions, we don't have houses usually. I'm looking forward to one where maybe we do, but for now, that's the lay of the land. And I think the biggest thing for me starting out is finding a place on campus where you're going to have your consistent like chapter meetings, any of those meetings that you're doing, having that consistent spot, not switching spots, on a week-to-week basis. Get with someone on campus that can book you a room or a ballroom or whatever for the entire semester. Consistent time, consistent day. And then when you're looking at organizing recruitment events, look towards info sessions and stuff that you can either have in that same space that your members are already comfortable with, because that's your meeting spot, or somewhere in that same building that might be a little more larger and accommodating. To me, as many recruitment events as you can have on campus, that's going to be the best when you don't have a house, just because students are on campus. So there's not that barrier of not being able to get out to a brother's house and that kind of thing. But then doing some of those like bowling events or things that don't require a house, but still build brotherhood, and you can easily bond with guys because the barriers are broken either over food or sports or something like that. And you're never even putting that focal point that you don't have a house, right? You're just doing recruitment events that fit your needs and your scenario. And then obviously if the situation comes up where someone is asking about a housing situation, because most other chapters have houses and stuff like that, address it. Hopefully that's a goal for you. If it's a big thing on campus that other chapters have houses, that's a goal for you. Share that goal with them. And then that can be a common goal for the both of you, is like, oh yeah, that would be sweet if we could find the first house for Acacia together. And so playing into that a little bit more of trying to make this seem like a goal they want to get on. Like, yeah, we might not be the top house, whatever, but that doesn't mean you can't have the most amazing fraternity experience. And a lot of the times, from my experience, the most fulfilling one, because the traditions and the things you see later on come from you and what you've built, instead of, just following some gray hair, no hair, as Daryl Larson would say. So.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Sharing, getting them on board to the goal, I think is great. So one last question to the panel before we hop off for the night. In kind of closing, if you could give just like one piece of recruitment advice, what would it be?
Recruitment advice. I think I got two. One, be comfortable. If you're uncomfortable, the P&Ms will know. They can see how you're acting. Like if you're like awkward around them, they're not going to want to go to Acacia. So that's one. Be yourself. So be comfortable, be yourself. And then two, ask questions that go places. Don't just ask a question that's just going to stop. Like, like asking somebody their major, if they say like some whack major, you're not going to know shit about it. So you can't really continue a conversation on a kid with a major that you don't know anything about. So ask questions that are going to lead to other questions. And that's how you really can get to know guys. That's really what I got.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go for it. No, go for it.
All right. I was just gonna say my biggest piece of advice would honestly just be go out and just talk to people at the end of the day. They're just people. Even admittedly that was something I had to work on, because I'm naturally introverted. So it's just one of those things. but over time you eventually do end up getting comfortable, but like just go out and talk to people. Like the worst thing that's gonna happen is they're just gonna say no, or you guys just don't become friends. Like, and that at the end of the day, that's not the worst in the world, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think be confident is definitely important for recruitment process because it takes confidence to kind of invite people into your brotherhood, right? But more importantly, I think don't get complacent. Don't be satisfied with where you are. You can always do something to improve, no matter if you're in a massive campus like Sam at LSU. There's always sometimes a little thing you can do, even if it's the smallest little improvement. Sometimes that means bringing in one or two more guys. So yeah, definitely keep finding ways to improve.
Yeah, so like when it comes to a lot of like big things with plans, the number one question is always like where do I start? What's the first step? And before you really start anything, you don't even have to have a rush plan. You don't have to have a budget. First thing is just outreach. Just like I said, like just cold calling or cold texting those guys. Just texting as many people as you can throughout the week. Trying to aim for numbers like 50 to 100. Just because for every 100 people you text, you're on average you're getting about 30 to 50 people responding, and then from that you're only getting like 10 to 12 people coming to the first rush event, and then from there on throughout the week, just it's all a numbers game. The more numbers you get, the more as that number gets smaller, the smaller number will grow as you grow the big number, if that makes sense. So like I said, the first step, just outreach, texting as many guys you can, set a quota for yourself or a goal for each week, and really try and nail that number, just because, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, cool. Thank you all so much, Will, Sam, James, and Reese, for hopping on the panel, answering these questions. That's awesome. Thank you all for bringing your wisdom and experience and just talking about recruitment. Thank you guys for hopping on the Zoom call tonight and hearing from these guys. I very much appreciate y'all. And thank you guys if you're watching from home, watching later. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video, but we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. We're rooting for y'all in your various recruitment experiences this fall. We wish y'all the utmost success. But let us know any ways that we can be helpful, both at Fired Up and Acacia HQ in your recruitment experiences. But hope y'all have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your day if you're watching later. Sweet. See y'all.
Take care, brothers.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night, all.